Hello everyone, welcome back again to my channel. So in today's video I'll be showing you how I made this dress. Okay, if you are new to my channel, you are so welcome, and if this is the very first time you're coming across my video, you are welcome. So guys, let's dive into it. I've ruled out my lines. So this is my shoulder line, my chest line, my bust point, my waistline, my hip line, my knee line, and my full length. This is just the normal basic body measurements. So let's move on to the next step. At my full length, I added 1 inches for hemming allowance. So now I'll go ahead and take my shoulder measurement. I'll take half of my shoulder, which is 7.5. At my chest length, I'll also take half of my shoulder measurements. Now I'll go ahead and use my ruler to make a straight line to connect them together. Now I'll go ahead and take my neck width. The neck width I'm using is 4 inches. Now I'll come over to this side and take my shoulder slant measurement. From my shoulder line I came down by 1 inches. Now I'll go ahead and connect it back to the neckline. Now I'll go ahead and take half of my armhole measurement, mark the point right there, and then go in by 0.7 inches for my armhole curve. So after marking it, I'll go ahead and use my curve ruler to connect them together. For my neck depth, I'm using 8 inches for my neck depth, which is the chest line. Now from my shoulder line, I will come down by 5.5 inches. So this will be for the sweetheart neck, and then I'm going to mark 4 inches here as well. I'll use my ruler to connect it down to the point I mark. Now from that point, I'll connect it down to the neckline. I'm going to place my curve ruler like this, then connect it from that point right there down to the chest line. So this will be the sweetheart neck at the front. So guys, this is all for the front. From my shoulder down to where my sweetheart neck will start is 5.5 inches. Now I'll go ahead and take my dart measurement. So half of my bust span is 4 inches. At my bust point I mark 4 inches. My waistline I mark 4 inches. At my hip line I came up by 2.5 inches. I mark it right there, then mark 4 inches as well. Now I'm going to connect from my bust line down to my hip line. So after doing that, at my waistline I came out by 0.7 inches on both sides. Now I'll go ahead and place my ruler at my bust line, then connect it down to the dart leg I just marked. So from the waistline I'm going to connect it down to the hip line, just as you see me do. Now I'll go ahead and take my bust measurement. My bust measurement is 9.7 inches. I'll mark it right there and add 1 inches for sewing allowance. I'll come over to the waistline. I'll mark my waist measurement. So I'll go ahead and place my tape at the dart and measure whatever I have there and replace it and add 1 inches for sewing allowance. Now I'll go ahead and connect from my bust line down to my waistline. So the next thing I'll do now is to take my hip measurement. I marked my hip measurement and add 1 inches for sewing allowance. I'll go ahead now and connect from my waistline down to the hip line. For my knee line measurement, I'm going to minus 2 inches away from my hip measurement. So whatsoever I got, I'll mark it right there and add 1 inches for sewing allowance as well. So I'll go ahead and connect it from my hip down to my knee line. So guys, you can decide to minus 1.5 inches away from your hip and use the measurement for your knee. So guys, after doing that, this is all for the front. Now I'll go ahead and add half an inch to the neckline for joining allowance, and also add half an inch to the shoulder. So guys, I'm done drafting out the front pattern paper. Now this is optional. I'm going to add bust dart to my dress. This is optional. Okay, so from my bust line, I'm going to come down by 1 inches. I'll connect it back to the bust point line. So guys, this is the back pattern paper. I've already ruled out the lines, and 1.2 inches is for the zipper allowance, the shoulder line. So the reason I redraft the back pattern paper is because of the bust that I use at the front. So my front half length is 17, while my back half length is 16. From my waist down to my hip line is 8 inches at the back and 8 inches at the front. Other measurements are the same with the front except the back half length measurement. I went ahead and take half of my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5. I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect the lines together. For my neck width, I'm using 4 inches as well. I'll come down from the shoulder line by 1 inch so my shoulder slant, and then connect it back to the neckline. I will also go ahead and take my half of my armhole, then connect it. I'm using 0.7 inches for my armhole curve for the back as well. So the next I'm going to do now is to take my back neck depth. I'm using 2 inches for my back, so I'll go ahead and connect it towards the zipper area. So I'll go ahead and take my bust span measurement, which is 4 inches, half of my bust span half inches. At my waistline I mark 4 inches, and at my hip line I came up by 2.5 inches. I'm going to connect it back to the hip line like this. So on both sides at my waistline I came out by 0.7 inches. Now go ahead and connect it just like this. Now I'll go ahead and take my bust measurement and my waist measurement, add 1 inches each for sewing allowance. So at my waistline I'm going to replace the dart intake right there, then connect it from my bust down to my waistline. This is the same thing I did to the front. So at my hip line I also mark my hip measurement, add 1 inches for sewing allowance. So after doing this, I'll connect all the lines together using my ruler. So guys, I'm done with the back pattern right here. Now at my waistline I'm going to come out by 0.5 inches to eliminate the zipper bulge. So I'll come down by 4 inches from the shoulder line and 1.5 inches from the waistline downward. Okay, now I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect the lines together just as you see me do. So this is just to eliminate the zipper bulge at the back. So after doing that, I'll go ahead and cut it out. I'll cut out the zipper bulge area first. So I'm going to cut through the waistline, making it two piece, just as you see me do. Now for the front pattern paper, I'm going to cut through the waistline as well, making it two piece. So I'll go ahead and cut the bust dart. I'll cut through the line as well. I'll stop at the bust point, 1/4 inch to the bust point, so that I'll be able to close the dart. I'll also go ahead and cut through the dart at the waistline. I'll cut out the darts. So after doing that, I'm going to close the waist dart first. Okay, I'm closing the waist dart first. So after closing it, I will use my tape to tape it down, just as you see me do. Now I'll go ahead and use my ruler to make a straight line. I'll be using splash and spread method for this dress. Okay, so after rolling this line, now I'll go ahead and cut through from the center front. I'm going to cut through the bust line, then stop at 1/4 inch, so that I'll be able to close the bust dart, and then cut through the other lines. Then I'll stop about 1/4 inch as well. So guys, I started cutting from the center front of this pattern paper. Okay, now I'll go ahead and close the bust dart that I cut out earlier. I'll use my masking tape to tape it down. Now after taping it down, I'm going to cut through the bust line again, so that I'll be able to spread the paper very well. So guys, after cutting it, this is what it looks like. I'll go ahead and spread it on my fabric, just like this. So guys, for the skirt part, I'm going to cut out the dart that I drawn. This skirt part is for the front. Okay, for the front. So after cutting it out, from my knee line, I'm going to come up by 2.5 inches. So this is where my ruche will stop. Now I'll go ahead and use my ruler to make a straight line to indicate where my ruche will stop. So after doing that, I'm going to just rule out lines. I'm also using splash and spread method for the skirt part. So I'll be cutting through the center front of the skirt part. Okay, from the center front. So guys, after ruling it out, now go ahead and cut through all the lines that I drawn. So I'm starting from the 2.5 inches that I marked from the upward from the knee line. So at the dart line, I cut through the line, then I stop about 1/4 inch. Then I close up my dart using my masking tape. Then I continue with my cutting. I'm done cutting my paper. This is what it looks like. So on this dress, I'll be using crepe fabric for this dress, and I'm using 4 yards of this crepe fabric. My fabric is folded into two, and this side right here is the center front, and is placed at the folded part on my fabric. So my fabric is folded into two, so I added half an inch to the center front. Then for the sides, which is the hip side, I did not add allowance, so at the upper part I added half an inch for joining as well. Now I'll go ahead and cut it out. So this is where my ruche will stop. I went ahead and notch it. So this is the front half length right here. I have placed it on my fabric, and my fabric is folded into two. I added half an inch to the center front, okay, and to the down part of this half length. Now I'll go ahead and cut it out. This is all for the front. Okay, I added half an inch to the center front for joining. So this is the back skirt right here. I went ahead and add half an inch for the upper part for joining, then cut it out. My fabric is on fold. This is the back fabric right here. I've cut it out and also transfer my darts to my fabric, and also cut out facing for my neckline. Okay, for the front I also cut facing for the front neckline. So guys, I've iron gum stayed to the interfacing I cut out. Now go ahead and use my facing to turn the neck, and also sew my darts. Okay, so I've sewn them right here and iron it down. So my facing was sewn at the right side of my fabric, then I turn it over to the wrong side of my fabric. I have also sewn the skirt dart at the back. Now I'll go ahead and join the half lengths together. So I'll join the front half length and the back half length together, just as you see me done. I'll use half an inch to stitch it down. So this is the front half length. I'm going to place the skirt parts to the front half length, right side facing each other, and then go ahead and stitch it down with half an inch. Make sure they are all aligning before stitching down. So guys, I'm done stitching the front half length together. So you know I have two pieces of the front half length, so I'm going to place the front piece together like this, right side facing each other, and then go over to my sewing machine and run a gather stitch round the center front of my fabric. So my gather stitch will stop at the notch area I notched earlier, which is 2 inches above my knee. Then at the neck turn up, I'm going to run a tight stitches. I'm going to run a gather stitches down. So I've done running a gather stitch, so I went ahead and used my tape to measure my fabric again, just to make sure I have my full length before I run tight stitches at the gather area. So I'll go over to my sewing machine and run a tight stitch to secure my gather properly. I'm done sewing my tight stitch. Now for the slit at the front, I will sew from where my gather stop towards the center, and then go ahead and fold the slit backward like this, hem it down to the full length. And then for the neckline, I went ahead and used my hemming gum to hem it down. So guys, I'm done stitching, and this is the slit for the front. This is what it looks like, and this is the ruche at the dress, and this is the neckline. This is what it looks like, and this is the back of this dress. Okay, now the next I'm going to do is to place the back and the front together, right side facing each other, so that I will join the shoulders. Okay, so I'm going to use the back interfacing or the back facing to cover the shoulder of the front and stitch it down with half an inch on both sides. So guys, I'm done joining the two shoulders together, and also went ahead and fixed my zip. I use an invisible zip, so there's no slit at the back. Okay, the slit is just at the front, so I stitch it down to the full length of my dress. So I also went ahead and shaping the two sides of my dress as well. Now I'll go ahead and fix my sleeve. I'll just measure round my sleeve, my armhole, to know my armhole curve measurement. Then I will use it to cut out my sleeve. I have dragged out my sleeve on my pattern paper. My sleeve length is 23 inches and minus 3 inches away from my band, making it 21 inches sleeve length. You have to measure your sleeve length. My wrist measurement is 8 inches, so I divided it by 2. Add 4 inches for the gather at the wrist and 1 inches for sewing allowance. You have to determine where you want your band to start from, then you measure that place. So I will be using splash and spread method for the sleeve as well. Now I'll go ahead and rule out lines so that I'll cut it out and spread it on my fabric. So I'll go ahead now and cut through the lines that I just ruled. So guys, my fabric is unfold and I have spread it on my fabric. So the higher part of my pattern paper is at the folded, is at the center fold of my fabric. Okay, make sure your fabric is unfold. And this is one piece of this sleeve. So I will use this fabric to cut out another piece again for the other hand. This is just one piece right here. So after cutting it out, I will show you guys. So I've cut it out. I also went ahead and notched the center part of the sleeve. So I have two pieces of that sleeve. This is my band right here. So the length of my band is 3.5 inches on fold, and the width is 10 inches. I use my wrist measurement and add 1 inches for allowance. Now I'll go ahead and gather the upper part and the down part of my sleeve. So I'm done gathering it and also went ahead and fix my band. Now I'll go ahead and fix my sleeve. I'll place my sleeve at the right side of my dress and stitch it down. Okay, make sure the notch part you notched at the sleeve is placed at the shoulder of your dress. Okay, after sewing my sleeve, I went ahead and hemmed the down part of my dress. So guys, this is all for this dressmaking. So guys, this is the finished look of my dress. It came out so beautiful. If you find this video helpful, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Give this video a thumbs up. Bye.